guys, welcome to Book Club with me, Namyoung, and this book is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I tend to prefer shorter books, and this is probably one of the shortest books that we will go over in the book club session. So if it's your first time listening to this, I want to warmly welcome you and hope this is a pleasant time for you. If not, you know the situation, you know how things go, so I'm not too worried. What we're going to do is listen to the introduction, right? And then we're going to start off considering the story and the analysis. But with the introduction, you don't really need to have read the book prior to listening to this. Now, the lectures that are going to follow, you're going to read the book and then listen to it and do the work and then listen to it. But for this section, you just have to sit back, relax, enjoy, take notes, and hopefully the information, the background information I give you will be of a little bit of help. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Okay, the author of this book, if you know, is Franz Kafka, okay? He was born in 1883, died in 1924, so he died pretty young, about 41 years old when he died, very young age, right? He was born in Prague to middle-class Jewish parents. Now, there is a lot of oddity here because first, Prague is the Czech Republic, right? Czechoslovakia. And we know that at this time we had a bit of a chaos. Well, it was not so easy because we do know it was at the time the Austro-Hungarian Empire was at stake. A lot of the negativity towards the German ideas and the German people and the language. And interesting to know that he was a German speaker among the Czechs, which is another oddity. He was a Jew among the German speakers, and we do know that if he speaks German, it's odd that he's actually a Jewish person, but he was born to Jewish parents, and he was not a believer of the Jewish religion. So we see a lot of oddities. Thus, he is the iconoclast, well, I'm going to say an exemplary model for the ideas of alienation, disoriented anxiety, things like that. Now, his father was married to a daughter of a wealthy brewery owner, and we know that his father wasn't rich, so it is an oddity. And we know that he had two brothers who died in infancy and three surviving sisters. Now, the basis of the book itself is family related. A lot of the characters that come out are indeed family members and of course others as well, but generally that. And so we know that the father had very high ambitions, was very strict, and so we know Kafka did not really have a really tight, wonderful, warm-hearted relationship with the father as we might consider a happy family to be. Now, if we consider his experiences, Franz Kafka's experiences, he entered law school, he received a doctorate degree, he took a law clerkship after graduation, didn't really like it, took a job with a private insurance company. It didn't last too long. 1908, he got a job through his friend's dad at the Workers' Accident Insurance Institute for the Kingdom of Bohemia. So he liked it. He retired early, 1922. So before his 40s, he decided to retire. Now, unfortunately, 1924, he caught tuberculosis. Not a high time for vaccination, etc. So he thus dies. And we know that he really didn't publish too many of his works, but this and others were published after, well, not this one, but others were published after his death. And his great friend, who was also a writer, German-speaking, Max Brod, saved most of his work, got it published, and that is how we know Kafka was a great writer of his time. So his 3 sisters and the love of his life, unfortunately, all perished in concentration camps. Of course, this was World War I, and of course afterwards World War II. And so we know that some of the things that Kafka talks about, not in this particular book, but in other types of writings that he left, although most of them were not completed, we find that he does mention a lot of these things that most people may not have mentioned, or these very unfortunate events, which seems to have been a little bit, which seems to have been foreseen by Kafka before it happened. Okay, now if we talk about the book, it was written in 1912, considered it to be published in 1913. It didn't happen. I think the actual date of publication was 1915. The book took 3 weeks in November and December to complete. And of course, these dates are a little bit significant because we know that the events that happened in his life were relevant to the events of the book, okay? Now, believe it or not, The Metamorphosis is one of the longest, actually the longest work Kafka ever completed in his life. Took 3 weeks. And to give you a little bit of a comparison, and of course, highly autobiographical in its content, for comparison, we're going to consider The Judgment, right? Another story that he wrote, but he wrote it in a single sitting, which means he got down to write, got comfortable, started writing, finished the whole story in one sitting. Generally, this is not the case, especially for writers who are this renowned. Generally, they go draft after draft, but it just kind of shows how wonderful a writer he is, and the styles that he has is extremely unique. Now, we know that he will write about a lot of these unique ideas, a lot of these, and he has a definite style. What we do know is that for The Metamorphosis, it's greatly based on The Savage One, a play by Gordon, who was Jewish, Yiddish, right? And then it was a model for a story. Now, what we do have to consider are some of the similarities. One, the fact that Gregor resembles the idiot son who is unable to communicate with his father, with his family, stays locked in his room because he's afraid of the father. Very similar in character, as you're going to read on later. Takes place in small rooms like stage sets, which was, of course, The Savage One was a play. And it has similar themes. Now, the major idea here, when one pursues material means, so money, wealth, things like that, a savage wakens within us and forces us to oppose the laws of humanity. So laws of humanity could be a lot of things, including ethics and morals and love and relationships and a lot of these things. But we do know that this was a definite model for the stories because we do see a lot of similarities. Now,